Hi, it's Gratu Orloff, and welcome back to my channel. Today I will provide you with some great content, even more funner than last time. It's gonna be even more funner, Yes, so let's proceed with the content, shall we? But first, have you had a nice, refreshing Topo Gigio today?
In Taurus, the individuality is extended into one's possessions.
Damn it.
Taurus is a very practical, down.
And our other sponsor is Seven Seas, the companion amusement park to Six Flags Over Texas. Yeah, sure, we closed in 1974, but you can still buy our bottle openers. Topo Chico. It is mineral water, and it's carbonated. This is for people that are addicted to soft drinks. It helps you get off of that horrible poison. Well, I found some more National Lampoons, even older ones, but they're over there and I'm over here. And I pulled a couple of magazine boxes out of the deep recesses of the closet in room 1 of floor 7 of the International Gratu Orloff Building of Trade here in Gratuville, Virginia, right outside Rural Retreat, which is the big city that's near us. And let's see what's in, what kind of fun is within these boxes. What kind of fun could it be? Oh, I haven't told you. It's Saturday, March, I don't know, 20th, 21st, something like that. 2021. I think it's the first day of spring. Yeah, or something like that. Watched Falcon and the Winter Soldier. And it poses the question, how exactly do the Avengers make a living? I always thought, well, they got to, live free at Tony Stark's mansion and get free food, so, but yeah. Yeah. If you're the Falcon, how exactly do you get a loan? It's the interesting question posed by the new episode of Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Or is it Winter Soldier and the Falcon? I can't remember. Let's see what we've got in this box. What else did we do? We watched part of the first episode of American Gods Season 3. We went out to a buffet. We had brunch today. This all-you-can-eat breakfast place that opened up near us. I forget what it's called. It doesn't really matter, does it? Oh, let's see what we got here. What do we have here? Flux. Mortal Kombat 3. Exposed. Lady Death, Vampirella, and She. So, it's a video game magazine. Probably completely worthless. And why did I buy this? Who knows? This must be from the 90s. If I could even fucking see without my I need my reading glasses.
In Cancer, the energy of Gemini is redirected.
Okay, what? Come on, give me a year.
Home is needed, where one can gather together one's feelings and recharge.
Flux. Come on, what is your year?
But they find freedom in domestic security.
Okay. 1995. 1995. That's back before most of you were born. Alright, what else do we have in here? Here's an issue of Spy. Remember this magazine?
In almost imperceptible increasing nighttime.
This must just be a catch-all box of magazines. Here's fact sheet 5, number 28. Let's see if it mentions my homemade magazine, The Sophisticate.
They like to feel secure and comfortable. Anything that
I don't think I was reviewed in this issue, but it's possible.
is felt immediately. They feel instinctively how
This is where people back in the 90s would send in their homemade magazines, and then Fact Sheet 5 would review them, and then give your address and how much it cost, and people would order them from you in the days before the internet.
more than that.
And of course, you know, there's always been some way for nerds and geeks to contact one another across the vast ethereal gulf of the distance. You know, if you go back to the 20s and 30s, they just write long letters like H.P. Lovecraft and Robert E. Howard would do. Okay, here's another real slick. They got real slick apparently there. This is let's see if The Sophisticate, my magazine, is reviewed in here.
Once feeling is accumulated, it needs to be
Yeah, they got a little bit more slick with a slick cover here. But I would buy this magazine just to find other magazines to order from people. Yeah, I don't think I had an issue in this one. But anyway, this is back in the days of zines before the internet. Okay, what do we have here? Sales to astonish. Well, this is meant for comic store owners, but you know, you can. The great thing about like something like this is if you're like a school teacher, you can put this on a copier and blow this up and turn it into a coloring page, you know, and have something to entertain people. Because it has black and white art, you can create your own coloring sheets. This is for February 1993, which is not a really healthy time, and I probably saved it just for this drawing of Satana. But I a lot of times I would save this kind of ephemeral stuff. Ephemeral is just a fancy egghead word, meaning this stuff is not really meant to be saved. But then sometimes maybe this will be the stuff that'll be valuable someday. And I don't save things for, I don't speculate, it just, I hoard, you know. Okay, this is Cinefantastique. I have all my Cinefantastiques in another box, but this rogue copy didn't get put in there. So this is for the Sylvester Stallone Judge Dredd. So this is again mid-90s. So it looks like everything in this box is going to be mid-90s. That movie did have some good production design, I must admit, but it suffered from Stallone's ego and that he had to show his face. What is this shit that Gratu Radio was playing? Some kind of horoscope thing. Okay, this is Jim Steranko's handiwork. He was, and he started comic scene in the early 70s, and it was like a fold-over magazine newspaper that told you about what's going on in the comics industry, and then he expanded it, the scope of it, and he started calling it media scene. So it didn't just cover comics, it covered TV shows and movies and stuff like that. Then he changed it to Preview, I think. And this is still called Preview. It's just hard to even, he's being so stylistic, you really have to tell. It's hard to tell what the name of the magazine is. Preview Pinup Special. Alright, so, yeah, well, this is definitely why I bought this. Like, here's this picture of Irish McCalla. Oh, that's from a shoot for a record album. I actually have that record album where she posed as Sheena on the cover. But yeah, this allowed Jim Steranko to come into contact with movie stars and movie starlets. Of course, he has stuff from the golden age of pulps and stuff. And he has Dave Stevens art.
Don't criticize.
But then, yeah, it's kind of a cool little thing. But then, you know, it gets the print pictures like this, Jungle Girls from some, what the hell movie this is? Michelle Bauer. A ripping tooth and nail rap out by Stranko. So Stranko got to rap with these starlets, got to interview them, which I'm sure added to his ego. Not that he has a big ego or anything. This is a magazine called Satana. It's from the late 50s. Really cool title, logo there. It's this should be in another box for sure. This was sent to me directly by Bunny Yeager. You know, I actually talked to her on the phone once. Bunny Yeager was a photographer that photographed, and that's her in the 50s with red hair photographing. She photographed Betty Page on the beach and as a jungle girl, and this is like her, all of her negatives, you know, all the pictures you can get from her. Of course, she's passed on, and she would autograph them. Yeah, this is all. So this is her from 1995, Bunny Yeager's photo file number 1, which shows all of her pictures that she had of Betty Page. And then I guess I don't have 2 and 3, but here's her photo file number 4. So she'd take pictures of herself, but I'm just believe it or not, I was looking at the wrapping paper. Okay. When you, I mean, you obviously, it's a beautiful girl, but then, you know, you're also looking at the couch and the lamp and stuff, and I don't know. That's just how it is when you collect old stuff from the past. Yeah. Okay, so this is all pictures of her. I think that first one was all the Betty Page pictures. This one has pictures of her. I don't know what was in 2 and 3. I don't know how you'd find them. Maybe on eBay. Here is, I don't think Joe Biden would approve of this coloring book. This character from Linus the Lion-Hearted TV show. But, stuff more innocent than this got Dr. Seuss canceled, you know, so the less we see of that, the better. This is horrifying. What do we have here? Johnny Quest, Paint with Water. This isn't old. Well, I mean, it's not old to me. I mean, when I say it's not old, I mean it's not from the actual time period, the early 60s when this was on TV. It's from 94. So some of you would argue with me, yes, that is old. I was only 5 years old when that was printed, but to me it's not. Oh shit, not old. What the fuck is that? Okay, well, the other people that shot lots of pictures of Betty Page, well, it was Irving Klaw. Out of New York, and she shot the more raunchy, I guess you'd call them raunchy, because they involved S&M, bondage. Pictures of Betty Page tied up or being put into the trunk of a car or something. All those pictures were shot by this photographer out of New York that had a store called Movie Star News, and it was a store that sold photos of movie stars and I guess magazines, and then they would secretly in the back room be photographing girls and selling the pictures kind of under the counter, I guess. But this is, you know, Irving Klaw passed away, but his sister, Paula Klaw, who's involved in the photography too, kept doing this. And this was, I ordered this from Movie Star News and she was still alive, and it's got all the photos that you can get from them, and they're just movie star photos. These are not the these are not the pictures of Betty Page that caused them to get in trouble with the law a little bit back then. So I would get these catalogs pretty regularly in the mail back in those days. But yeah, see, it's just like, shit, pictures of Phil Collins? Are you kidding me? I hate Phil Collins with a passion. I always hated that guy. Here's another issue of Movie Star News. Keenan Ivory Wayans, Tanya Roberts, cast of Rawhide. Yeah, it's Rhonda Fleming. I mean, it's old movie stars that are real movie stars and then shitty new stars. Here's a copy of Maximum Rock and Roll, which is printed on the shittiest of paper. This is an issue about bootlegs. It's a punk rock magazine. This is from July of '91. And, you know, it's got lots of, you know, it's lots of stuff to read. I mean, it's packed with text. But, you know, you learn a lot about, this is before the internet. This is how you learned about what's going on in the punk rock world. Yeah, right. And then, if you remember the ancient days when we were so excited in 1978 about the premiere on, I think it was ABC, of Battlestar Galactica, because we were so into Star Wars, right? And then there's going to be a TV show on television, and the special effects is going to be done by John Dykstra, who just won the Academy Award for Star Wars, and it's going to be like a weekly Star Wars show. It is necessary to be involved to understand. We saw the pre-production art and everything, got all excited, and turned out it wasn't that great. But the first night it premiered on that Sunday, I don't remember when, but, you know, I was there, I was recording the sound from my old television. But it seemed like every other commercial was for a new magazine called Omni. I remember those commercials. I seen the commercials on YouTube. But this is the issue Omni from November of 1979. And what it was Bob Guccione, the guy behind Penthouse magazine, was flush with money, and he decided he wanted to do a magazine about the future, you know, these futuristic devices like that. He just, and it, you know, you look at it and it looks, the typeface, everything about the interior of the magazine looks like Penthouse magazine. But it's all, you know, even the cartoons look like Penthouse. But it's not dirty. It's meant for general audience. But it's about the new world that we are all in now, about, you know, computers. Anyway, it's called Omni. It was around for a while. I've got a few issues of it. Oh my goodness. I've got some shit men's magazines here. This magazine, Modern Man, was weird in that it had a spiral binding. And I guess that's so you could turn it around completely, you know, and not, at least you didn't have to worry about breaking the spine. But this is, well, it does show nudity. I better not show that to you. But it's somewhat, well, this doesn't, you know, sometimes it's kind of like the early days of Playboy. It's more kind of cutesy instead of being horribly. This is Elkie Summer, who's pretty famous. And yeah, pictures of Elkie Summer. There's no nudity there, so yeah. Or else transcend the whole madhouse. And all right, that's what month and year is this from?
Inner peace or outer struggle? Christ or
Oh, 1959. From
Aquarius.
putting them in a box, the damn spirals get caught on each other when you're trying to pull it out.
The days are steadily increasing.
Here's another
In
one.
Aquarius, the individuality is more secure than in Capricorn. There's not so much of a drive for power as the personal evaluation of the social situation, the state and its rules. If the rules are fair, then Aquarians will be the
I'm looking to see if there's any
constructively develop the community's
big names in here.
However, if the laws or rules of the system are unjust, then Aquarius will rebel.
Doesn't seem to be. This is also from this is from 57.
They're not strong individuals.
Okay.
And consequently, Aquarians will group together with those of common spirit and new ideals. If necessary, they will destroy.
Don't worry, there's some really cool comic book oriented magazines coming up. This is a yearbook. So it's got, you know, Jane Mansfield and Sophia Loren, and I think I need a better
However, as the nights are still longer than the days,
I've got to find a better way to won't be a better way to do this. See, I'm holding up the camera right here by the butt of this. What was her name? The girlfriend of Rudolph? Clarice? Is her name Clarice?
It reinforces their ego. Aquarians relate to social equality.
This guy on the radio is really creepy sounding. Looking for something to hold this up. There we go. Alright, okay. So let's see what's in here. What could be inside this magazine? Who knows? Bridget Bardot, Jane Mansfield. Yeah, that was Jane Mansfield's husband. They made a movie about Jane Mansfield, a made-for-TV movie, and they had Lonnie Anderson play her, and they had Arnold Schwarzenegger play her husband, Mickey Hargitay, who played Hercules, I think, in a couple of movies. Here's Diana Dors, who was the British answer to Marilyn Monroe. See, the problem with the girl reindeer is she was blocking some of the light from this damn thing. Here's Kim Novak, who was in some Hitchcock movies. Don't worry, I won't allow you to see any horrible nudity. Queen Kim. It would be too shocking to see. Julie Redding. Yeah, I mean, Tina Louise. This is Ginger from Gilligan's Island. I used to have a lawn chair that belonged to, or do I still have it? One of my lawn chairs was just grabbed off my front porch, but the friend of mine that sold it to me said he had gotten it from Dawn Wells, who played Marianne on Gilligan's Island. This Tempest Storm. Yeah, because she was his next door neighbor in L.A., and she had a garage sale, and he bought up one of those metal kind of rocking clamshell looking 50s chairs. You know, you've seen a million of them. They make replicas of them. Okay, and here's Cabaret Yearbook. You know, this seems kind of thin, so I'll cover this up, but it's cool that she's got this severed head, and she's dressed like the guy that went into the Congress during the insurrection. Oh, and here's Evelyn West. She was real good. Night Tiger was talking about being aware of page counts when you're buying these old comics, because you might get a comic that's missing pages, and with something like this you can easily remove pages just tearing it out. And this says, you know, 70 pages, but it seems awfully thin. Let me see if I'm missing any. Someone may have pulled a whole bunch of pages out and then sold them separately, because these are all oh, there's Jenny Lee. I can't show you that picture, or maybe I could. Jenny Lee, no, she was a famous stripper. There's even some songs about her. There's a 50s song, Jenny Lee. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that I'm missing a bunch of freaking pages. Let's see, because it's 4... 20, yeah, 29... Yeah, I think this has been plundered of pages. Gotta be careful. Oh, this is a homemade thing put together by a friend of mine. He collected all these stories about Elvis from tabloids, and then put together this limited edition thing bound this way. So it's just photocopies of all the tabloid stuff that he had saved over the years. Just a cool little thing he did and gave to his friends. And then he did this one, the same friend of mine, did this one about Candy Barr, who was a famous Dallas stripper that is had ties with Jack Ruby. Yeah, so he did it real, you know, kind of neat. Seems like I helped with this. I'm wondering if, I think I did a second edition and I added some pages that are in here, because I'm looking at some of the stuff that I think is from my collection. I don't remember exactly how that was put together, but I think I may have helped with that one. This is all stuff from the 90s. And then we were really into Robert Tilton, the preacher out of Dallas. So he made this, The Beast of Robert Tilton, because he started a Robert Tilton fan club. See it's on this, this is the transparency sheet like teachers would, so you could project this up. Oh, that's cool. Oh, wow. Let's see, can I get this just right? That'd be a good way to start the show. If I can get this right. Maybe I could make this the thumbnail for this video. Gotta line the eyes up. I wonder how many people in the world right now are doing the exact same. You ever wonder how many people in the world are doing the exact same thing I'm doing right now, which is lining up. Oh, his nostrils are too big now. Robert Tilton's face with their own. I may be the only person on the planet Earth, all those, what, 4 or 5, 6 billion, doing this right. Oh, that's the sweet spot, I think. Ooh, I look really evil. Anyway, it's all stuff about Robert Tilton and all the scandal, you know, because what Robert Tilton did is he had this prosperity doctrine. Oh, that's what he looked like in high school. Well, what he did is he first of all, he was really funny to watch, because he did this fake speaking in tongues. He'd go, oh, basando bototo, and then he would if you send in a prayer request, you know, he would, well, you send in a prayer request, you had to send in, like, let's say you send in $100, and then you should be able to get $500 or $1,000 just magically will show up in your mailbox, or something will happen where you'll get that money. In other words, if you have the seed of faith to just give some money to Robert Tilton, then you'll be blessed with more money, or something good will happen to you. Like, so, but then some investigation team from some TV station went to the dumpster behind his big giant mega church and found all these unopened prayer requests just thrown in the dumpster. So he wasn't even opening the prayer request, and that was the beginning of the end for his ministry. This is a book put together by my friend about the Cramps, which was an amazing band at one time that played a mixture of garage rock, punk, rockabilly, lots of different styles of music thrown in there. I think and their logo was right from you know, Tales from the Crypt, the EC comic. And they were really into old comic books and old music, and they collected all the same stuff that we collect, and they were very well versed on all that. And their early music was really, really good. The nearest equivalent, the first time I heard them in the 80s, what it reminded me of was Stan Freberg, the comedian in the 50s, when he did a parody of Elvis. Just listen on YouTube, look up Stan Freberg Heartbreak Hotel, and that's what the Cramps sounded like to me. Just insane echo and everything. And then this was about a band called Panther Burns. My friend did this too. And this is just a homemade, this is the kind of homemade thing that you'd send into Fact Sheet 5. And, you know, I think he just pretty much gave this away to friends, but it's all flyers for the band. And they, Panther Burns was out of Memphis, and they were not unlike the Cramps. Okay, there's a few. Let's see what we got here. What else we got? There's an issue of Fangoria that should be with my other Fangorias. Not the Twilight Zone. One is in here. Here's another issue of Maximum Rock and Roll, but look what I found here that I didn't know I had. This is what my friend Joe Riley, the creator of the Hypnotic Eye TV show, made this as the box art when he made this Sleestack model kit, which I have I think one of, or the very first one that he built himself and painted is downstairs, and I need to show that to you because I still haven't shown you, done a room tour that showed you that area of the house. But this is his, I need to get that frame. And it's just in here with these random, because this box, that's the era that this box was put together. Well, here's something from 2002. Well, here's some very old comic shop news. And I don't know who saves these. Let's see what. I think I threw a lot of them away. I may have saved that just for, you know, like that piece of art I like. But this is from December 16th, 1992. You know, not the best time for comic collecting, but these were given away free at comic book stores to show you upcoming. Where were you when Superman died? That was the biggest con job. I never bought into that Superman dying stuff. Here's this thing. This one's from March 16th, 94. Anything exciting? This kind of looking stuff. Interview with Howard Chaykin. I don't know. Oh, this is an earlier one. It's about Batman Returns. So this is June 17th, 92. Ooh, but this was the thing. Batman targets small screen too. Wow, what a great show that was. And it didn't allow itself to be too badly influenced by the movies. I think the only concession maybe it did to the world of those movies is it gave the Penguin kind of flipper hands. But oh wow, this has got to be worth a lot of money. It's Valiant's 3rd birthday. Wow, Valiant. And look, you got a Bloodshot poster. Wasn't there a Bloodshot movie that just came out with that bald idiot? The guy that plays the tree, Groot. I think he made a Bloodshot movie, but they didn't use the costume because, you know, that's still that old, the old thinking where we won't use the thinking. There's a female artist that I wasn't aware of, and that's the art she produced. She was 24, Katherine Bollinger. Oh, she was from around here, Weatherford, Texas, inker of Exo Manowar, former inker of Secret Weapons and Rat in the Future Force. So, wow, incredible. I didn't know that there was a... Yeah. She probably... it's like maybe, you know, I don't know. That Grace Randolph, didn't she write comic books? It's like, you just see a picture of her, you think, oh, that's a beautiful woman. Then you hear her talk, and it's like, you can stand her for, listening to her for more than 30 seconds. I don't know. It's like, her voice, what part of the country are you from? They need to wall off that part of the country so no one can escape. Oh, here's Comic Shop News. Valiant's 3rd anniversary. Boy, that was a big deal, huh? That Valiant made it to 3 years. Oh, and this was the big word in the 90s. Extreme. Everything was extreme. There used to be an Extreme Hamburgers near here. But luckily it turned into Taco Pionero, which is a very good taco place. But for a while it was Extreme Hamburgers. They had skateboards on the wall and stuff. Here's Xenozoic Tales was good. Okay, I don't know. What did Valiant do? You'll have to remind me. I don't even know. All those comic companies, Image, Valiant, there were a bunch of them. I don't remember. It was a horrible, horrible time. Horrible, horrible indeed. Okay, so Comic Shop News. What do we have here? Texas Beat, Rocky Erickson, Paintings out of Houston. They were pretty good. This is a Texas magazine. Rocky Erickson was still alive and they interviewed him. He was living in Austin. Rocky Erickson from the 13th Floor Elevators. And Rocky Erickson was a very great talent, but I think he did a little bit too. He did a little, way too many drugs in the '60s, and he was into all the same stuff we're into, horror movies and everything. He did tons of songs about them and made great music, but he was just a little nuts, and like he'd just start taking everybody's mail in the neighborhood, stuff like that, a little cuckoo. Oh, these were wonderful times. October 1980, I was dreaming of getting my first VCR, or my first video camera, which that never happened, but this is when that was the big screen TV you could get, this projection TV, and people's concern was eliminating copy guard. Yeah, in the early days of video, people bought magazines about it. It was the new technology, and the versatile video discs, and I was all excited because I for several summers I mowed lawns trying to save up for my first VCR, which was in the 500. I think I paid about $540 at Best Products, not Best Buy. This is a store called Best Products, and I still have it. It was a top-loading thing that felt like it weighed 500 pounds, with fake wood on the sides. I remember how it smelled when it was new, and so some of the first things I recorded, I think the first thing I recorded was an episode of Fridays, which was a ABC ripoff of Saturday Night Live, because I couldn't stay up that late because my mom wouldn't let me stay up that late. So I recorded that, and I remember recording Hanna-Barbera's World of Super Adventure because they were running the Fantastic Four cartoon, and that was the first time I was able to see that. Here's a Civil War magazine. Yeah, but there used to be these videotape magazines, and I was so excited. I just look at those pictures of this I need to put over there with those Mads. This is my childhood copy of my first issue of Mad that I ever had, and my childhood copy is trashed and taped and everything, but this is it, man. And all the pinups are taken out of it. But I since got several copies of this that are in good shape. But that one has sentimental value, but no value to anyone else, I would think. Yeah, this is a girly magazine, but it has this horrible tear up here. It goes through, how far? It goes through page 15. I wonder how that happened. Oh, this was when this era they would show. They would not show anything. They would not show nipples. They airbrushed out the nipples, so kind of like they do on Facebook. Yeah, so. And if they had nipples, if they showed nipples, they have pasties, because so the women kind of like Barbie dolls. Let me pull that too, put it with the girly magazines. I'm discovering with you what's in these boxes. People magazine, why do I have that? Oh, 100 Years of Hollywood, People magazine, People Extra. Okay. Oh, I forgot about these. Oh, these are interesting. Oh, the rest of this box is kind of interesting. The electric company put out a magazine. And I've got some other copies of this somewhere. I know I have the first issue. But it was on newsstands. And That's Morgan Freeman. Easy Reader says, reading does good things for my head. This is issue number 2. Issue number 1 I have, but it's just not in this box. But it was an interesting magazine. The Electric Company was the show that you graduated to from Sesame Street. It was put out by the same company, the Children's Television Workshop. And this is for, well, once you get into like 3rd, 4th grade, you're really kind of learning to read. This is the magazine, or it was the show for you. And you couldn't escape it, because back then, and they had comics in it. Back then, what would happen is at a certain time of the day, every day, like clockwork, sometimes twice a day, the teacher would roll in a cart with a television set on it, and they'd turn it on to the local PBS station, and we would watch the Electric Company, and I'm sure they had lesson plans that were sent to them by the local TV station, so they knew, what phonic sounds were going to be covered in that episode, so they could do little lessons for us, and so it tied into what they were teaching. This is a Chester Gould parody. And so they used it in their teaching, so we couldn't escape this show because it was forced on us. And at a certain point, Marvel teamed up with them, and look at this drawing of Morgan Freeman. Marvel teamed up and had Spider-Man appear on the Electric Company, and that seemed exciting. But then when Spider-Man appeared, he never talked. He would just go. So they even have Al Jaffe doing like a fold-in. So it has a vague connection to Mad and Cracked in its look, and that it does kind of comics and parodies. And I'm wondering, that's pretty good art there. Wondering if one of the people that watches the show pretty regularly, Tom Smith, I wonder if you have all the Electric Company magazines, because they're kind of up your alley. In a lot of ways, they're like, this was a cartoon on the show. This is just a comic strip version of it. The magazines that we got through school, Dynamite and Bananas and Smash, that were sold to us, this is kind of like that, except this was actually bought on the newsstand. And but anyway, Stan Lee started to see all these magazines put out for kids this age, and then decided he'd get in on it, and did Pizzazz, the Marvel version. Here's another one. Let's see if there's anything fascinating in here. Maybe I shouldn't be showing you every page. You could probably care less. It's another one of those Fargo North things. Fargo North Decoder. So whenever I see that Marvel comic, I have one copy of it, Dakota North. It's always in the dollar bins or quarter bins. It's like, it reminds me of Fargo North Decoder. Because, we couldn't escape this, because they brought it right into us in the public schools. At least they did in San Antonio, and they did it in Hampton, Virginia, when I was in 2nd grade, and 3rd and 4th grade in San Antonio, and by 5th grade I was in Tacoma, Washington, but they weren't doing it then. They probably didn't even have enough money for television sets. That school district was really poor. A friend of mine came over last night, and there's a brand new documentary about the band The Ventures, and he brought that over. He still had it in shrink wrap. He'd just gotten it in the mail, and we watched it, and it's really cool. I wasn't aware that they kind of grew up from the Tacoma area where I lived in 5th grade. And so that was kind of cool or something. All right, well, here's the Space Edition. By this point, they had Spider-Man, and you know, Marvel also put out Spidey Super Stories, which was in affiliation with the Electric Company, and I just found a bunch of those in a box. I need to combine them with the S's in here. But that will be it. And they had this stupid little band called the Short Circus that would sing. But yeah, here's their Spidey Super Stories. So if you're a Spider-Man completist, you got to pick this rag up too. Electric Company. Oh, look at that. They're watching. I think I've seen this. People have used this as a meme, or people have taken this one panel, and I've seen it appear on Instagram where they're watching Star Trek. I love Star Trek. What's on next? The Electric Company. Oh boy. Yeah, those were the days. I really did enjoy the Electric Company. It had some cool music and Moonwalk. Oh, I always liked this. The $6 Million Man cutaway view. There's a policeman with a shotgun, like right there on his crotch. Weird. Yeah, you know, they did some cool stuff. Look at that. I'm sure that was pulled. See, it's in the centerfold. I'm sure that was put up on a lot of kids' fucking walls. And then they have all this Star Trek stuff. And then look, they combine the three of them into one face. Build your own rocket ship. That's about, I was going to say that's about as good as what you would get in the mail when you ordered that rocket ship from the back of comic books, but that's not true. That thing actually looked pretty cool. I've seen pictures of it. Thing is, it was made out of cardboard, and I'm not sure they told you that in the ad when you're ordering your rocket ship or your tank or your submarine. Yeah, it's stuff like this. And here's the esteemed Academy Award-winning actor Morgan Freeman. And I'd say, well, it's part of his career he'd like to forget, but I'm sure he's very proud of working for the Electric Company because he helped kids learn to read, and it was a good show, and it was funny, and it just been kind of buried in time because it taught kids with phonics, and that's politically incorrect now. Here's this thing, Elfquest. I think this is my only copy that I own of Elfquest, which is kind of, at least at this point, kind of amateurish, but very well respected, done by a husband and wife team. You know, Warp, when is this from? It's #1. I'm sure it's a reprint. This is from 1978. I think it's a reprint of the very first, you know, and their artwork got better. This looks like Michael Plug, Werewolf by Night, kind of early. It looks like, you know, the stuff that he was doing. I'm sure that was an influence on them, but they got better. I shouldn't insult them. Video Dimensions was one of these companies that sold you old, obscure movies on VHS. You know, like Strip-O-Rama and stuff. This is the only way you could get weird movies back then. Now a lot of the stuff you can just get right on YouTube, or it's available on DVD or even Blu-ray in some cases. But yeah, this was one of those companies, because I was always buying stuff on VHS. There's another copy. I wasn't paying $2. These just came in the mail very often. But there's that Bunny Yeager's nude camera. She had a couple of movies too. The photographer I was talking about earlier. I bet everybody's already tuned out at this point, and then I'm just about to get to the really good box. I switched the boxes around because I thought I put the good box on top, and I did the opposite. So you're having to sit through all this stuff, and then and Video Yesteryear was another company that did it, and then of course the big one. Well, there was Sinister Cinema too, and then but the big company that came along was Something Weird, and Something Weird started to actually find the people that made the movies and get actual film cans and actually transfer from the original films, and sometimes even from the negative. Here's another one of those video magazines when I was so excited about VHS, the world of VHS, early 80s. And then here's Video Yesteryear with their big catalog. Yeah, they had all kinds of stuff, that you could get. Some of you will remember those days. But now everything's so easy to find and so readily available that, I don't know, kind of like someone was saying, I was watching earlier, that it's kind of an embarrassment of riches today, and we just have so much, we just take it for granted. And then, like, one of the lesser Marvel movies, like, say, Captain Marvel comes out. Everyone goes, that's not very good. But back in the 70s, that would have been amazing, because no one was making Superman the movie. But it's just incredible that we've got an Avengers movie, just about everything. That all these Marvel movies that are so great, who would have ever thought that they would have ever been made? All the stuff we've got today that I never dreamed. In the late 70s, when we were dealing with the Spider-Man TV show and stuff like that. Okay, well here, this is a reprint comic, and the insides look like somewhat good for the time, pretty good photocopies. But here's a Black Hawk. It's weird, there's like blank pages. Every so often there's blank pages in there. Hopefully that's not a misprint. Anyway, that's that. What do we have here? Daredevil, the Marvel Comics Index. It goes through all the Daredevil comics. And it looks like also the Black Panther comics. Also featuring Black Panther, Shanna, Black Goliath, Human Fly, and Dazzler. So, in the days before the internet, and being able to just look at mycomicshop.com or pull up whatever website, you can go through and see every cover, who were the artists. Oh yeah, and like when you get these magazines like this, Marvel Adventure, it's a reprint of Daredevil 26, but it tells you that pages 6 and 14 of the original story are omitted. They when they reprinted those comics in the 70s, they would cut pages out of the story, which I wasn't aware as a kid. So I thought, well, I can't afford these old Spider-Man comics, so getting Marvel Tales, then I'll have the story, or getting Marvel's Greatest Comics, then I'll have those Fantastic Four stories. But no, it was they were edited. I guess they had a higher page count in the 60s. Here's a Wally Wood magazine. Heroes Incorporated presents Canon, Black Angel, and the Misfits. Of course, fantastic artwork, Wally Wood. You know what I actually liked in the 90s? I actually liked the Spice Girls. And I won't be embarrassed to admit it. So I've got some Spice Girls stuff. They say, boy, you're just an idiot. But there were a lot of other people. It's like, this is a testimony to that. All these... Peter Bagg, the artist that did Hate, you know, like a lot of people were really into the Spice Girls, because it was almost like the 60s were back, and you had a band that, so all these, you know, artists do these tributes to the Spice Girls, and unfortunately that era didn't last long. And let's see. Yeah, Peter Bagg does this whole Spice Girls thing, and yeah, all these people were just all these artists were into it. Yeah, so it's like a whole underground comic. All these, it's just like, I don't know. It seemed like they were like something that needed to be in a comic book. You know, it's a coloring page. So they produced this, and this is a wonderful little... So these boxes have been in that closet, I guess, since the 90s. Here's another Spice Girls thing. I mean, I didn't go ape shit, but, you know, here's an issue with Ginger Spice Allure. And then here's Ginger Spice. I guess she was my favorite. And then I've got another copy of this comic, this Spice Capades. Oh, and then I've got some Maxims. I got this because I was really into Xena, Lucy Lawless. And then, oh, this is Shannon Doherty. That's why I got that. What else do we... There's good stuff in here. Hold on. Just give me a second. Okay, here's where we start getting to the good stuff. This is Squatron, the EC fanzine. So, let me open it up. Ooh, this is good music for EC. This is issue number 2 from September of '68. I don't know what these things sell for now. But, that's the actual, this is what, from EC, they wrote letters. What do you call it? The letterhead? If you got a letter from EC, it would have this art on the side. The stationery. The EC Comics stationery. So, yeah. Jerry Weist, editor and publisher. And I love this over the editorial. Look at that. My wife's cooking steak downstairs. I smell it. So this episode may have to end prematurely. I told her, if it gets finished while I'm filming, just go ahead and call. And that's the original, you know. And then that's the finished, it's finished. Then there's an Al Williamson Portfolio. If you're into EC Comics, this is definitely something to seek out. I don't know what these cost now, because I bought this many years ago. Feeling a pain in my front tooth. That's not a good thing. Shit. Frazetta collection. And then it's all these comic strips by Frank Frazetta. Caveman comic strips and this other Frazetta stuff. Ooh, and then this is Bernie Wrightson before he was anybody, right? 1968. There's a profile of him. And this is very early Bernie Wrightson. See, this stuff cheers me up and makes me forget that it's 2021. Oh, look at that. You know, a few years ago they were talking about making a movie about Bill Gaines and his life and EC Comics and everything. And it was going to be like Madly Yours, William Gaines, something. I don't know. It was going to be directed by John Landis, who I think would have been good for the task because he has a love for this material, and I think it could have been like an Ed Wood kind of thing, you know, if they had done that. But I've heard nothing more about it, and I assume that project is dead in the water. I doubt that it would interest, you know, a Chinese audience, and they're the main audience of Hollywood films today, which is why you get movies that are very easy to translate into, because they don't have much dialogue, just a lot of explosions, and but, you know, what could have been. Okay, so that was issue number 2. So, I mean, I don't have a complete collection of Squatron. This is number 6, a special issue about Bernard Krigstein. And rather than show you every page, let's see. It just got, you know, original art, you know. I had like an entire EC, the original art. I had an entire story down in the pinball room. It wasn't my property, but a friend of mine had come back from Los Angeles. He's since passed away, but he had a huge collection of memorabilia, and he bought an entire story from, I think, Vault of Horror. I mean, the entire story, because when, you know, Gaines started selling on, he kept all the original art. And then he sold it at a certain point, and my friend bought a story, and he wanted to keep, he was between homes, and he had his collection scattered all over the place, and I put it on a pinball machine downstairs, flat, where the cats don't go in that room, they're not going to jump on it. So for several months, I had in this building an actual EC story. That was exciting. But then he sold it for I don't know how much. He had also had the original painting for the poster 1 million years BC, and he had a lot of Reynold Brown paintings. He had, well, I was going to say he still has, but he's not alive, unfortunately. But so I guess his older brother has custody of it now. The poster art for Tarantula by Reynold Brown. But he had Revenge of the Creature, the original painting for the one sheet. I remember seeing that framed. I think he did sell that one, and but I think he had the original artwork for Monster on the Campus. He had a bunch of them. He was buying that stuff up cheap. Anyway, this is Squatron 7, and they have a lot of crinkle and creepy. Look at that cool drawing. I should be aiming this camera a little more this way, probably. I guess these are concept art for creepy. Because what James Warren was trying to do when he started Creepy and then later Eerie was get EC artists to come back and create basically new EC comics 10 years later. It's just they never quite had the all the wonderful twist endings and all of that. But you know, it just, if you like artwork, then they got this little story in the middle from this is a wonderful Marie Severin drawing the whole EC staff. Get this closer. Isn't that cool? Drawing by Will Alder. Looks like that's from Playboy. Just cool stuff. Squadron number 7. Let's listen tape. Yeah, we've got to finish the season of American Gods real quick because I think we only have a few more days, and then our subscription runs out on whatever that is, Stars or something like that, or at least we won't get the cheap rate on it anymore. And so we gotta watch it and unsubscribe. I had some more bags. Well, here's a great painting. It's on this cover of Squatron, and the Vault Keeper with Drusilla on the back. So, oh, isn't that cool? This is Squatron number 5. Kurtzman on Sesame Street. I didn't know Kurtzman worked on Sesame Street. I guess he did. Isn't that cool? I guess he did. The Planetoid, Al Williamson, George Evans. The Ghoul Lunatic photos. So this is the photo sessions where they did photos so they could send them off to fans, autograph photos of the characters. So that's the picture there, the Vault Keeper, the Old Witch, and that's what the Crypt Keeper is supposed to look like. But most people now visualize him the way HBO presented him. That's so great. All the mad characters following after this blonde, like the Marx Brothers. Oh, this is actually reprinted from the June 1954 issue of Pageant magazine. It's a spread on Mad. Now comics have gone mad. So that art was done special, and unless you got that issue of Pageant, you would never have that artwork until it was reprinted in Squatron. And these are fanzines done back then about EC. And so when Marvel started their Mary Marvel Marching Society and FOOM, they were doing it on the shoulders of the fact that EC had started their own fan club. And did I just show you this, or was it a different one? The staff, drawing by Marie Severin, who was the colorist there, and then her brother John Severin did art. Yeah, so that's amazing, to say the least. And then here's issue number 9. And this was $12 when it came out. I don't know what it sells for now, but it's got self-portraits, it's all kinds of stuff. Super big issue. Oh, The Secret EC Line, Teeny Tot, your first comic book, Chemical Love, A Moon, a Girl, Lust. Dr. Wortham Comics. Blood Comics. I thought I was the first one to do that. When I was a kid, I had a comic called Blood. The Crypt of Crap. That would be probably a good name for a YouTube channel. The Crypt of Crap. Except YouTube would probably not approve of that. Sometimes YouTube people will put curse words in comments, and then they won't actually show up. I'll get a notification. Here's your comment, and I read it, but it never actually shows up under my video. And I think it's because of I don't know. Look at this cool Bill Elder drawing. Anyway, I don't know what these go for now. It didn't used to be too expensive, but look at that, great. But I don't know. But maybe you can sell a bunch of horrible 1990s comics and buy something good like these things. Look at this great illustration on the back. John Carter. Look at this tremendous illustration on the front. So great, they don't even want to put the title of the magazine on it and ruin it. Which they put it on the inside. Squatrant. And Squatrant was a noise. The aliens, some aliens in the science fiction comics, EC, when they spoke in their alien language, they would go, Squatrant, Spaffon. And so those became kind of catchphrases, much like Melvin, the name Melvin did for people that read Mad, or Wiebelfeitzer and Potrazibi. So I guess this is the science fiction issue, it would appear. Yep, science fiction. The science fiction comics from EC were just beyond words great. And if you like EC science fiction comics, I would recommend that you, on YouTube, look up Old Time Radio. A lot of times you can just cheat and put OTR. Don't put OTO, because you'll get those fucking Satan people. OTR, Old Time Radio. And look up a show called Dimension X and X-1. Those were really good science fiction, half-hour science fiction anthology shows from the 50s, and they adapted Ray Bradbury stories and other great stories, and they were very well written and very well acted. And it's fun to just listen to old radio. Just close your eyes and let your imagination make the pictures. And there's another one more recent vintage called Mind Webs. And that's not old. I mean, that's probably done in the 80s maybe, or 70s, I don't know, but it was done really well too. Okay, well, here's DC's House Fan Magazine. This is The Amazing World of DC Comics number 6 from May 1975. So look at this. Bernie Wright's an illustration from 1970. Oh, look at that. Look at Joe Orlando there at the door of EC Comics. There with his art going in. Isn't that cool? Just imagine if a movie was made about those guys. And so you got a whole article about EC Comics here. But Joe Orlando started with EC, and then of course he was with DC at this point. You know, all about his career. It's an interview. And Plop, there was the house ad that introduced that Plop was coming. How well I remember that. So they got Joe Orlando's art. And they got some comics. I need to get a complete run of this damn thing. And they got the comics that are available on the newsstands that month. This is Marvel had FOOM and DC had this. You could get that issue of Plop. Yeah. And they have a whole, it looks like EC story printed here that, yeah, Judgment Day. This is a Joe Orlando anti-racism story that created some controversy because of its stance against racism. Okay. This one I actually bought when it came out. That other one, this one I remember buying at Lone Star Comics, probably that first summer they opened. And how could I resist this wonderful Sergio Aragonés cover? This is issue number, I don't know, number 13. It's a humor issue. It's got a Wally Wood back cover that was probably intended for Plop. It's got Sugar and Spike. I love Sugar and Spike. What else has it got? What else does it got? What else does it have? Sorry. Oh, I remember this wonderful, damn, you can't see it. This Neil Adams cover where Supergirl's wrecking the bottled city of Kandor. I bought that at the 7-Eleven about a block from here. Yeah. So it's got about DC superheroes and celluloid. It's got it's got a couple of stories that were, I guess, meant for Plop. The Narc is coming. There's a Jonah Hex parody, kind of done like Not Brand Eck. Yeah, this was supposed to have been in Plop, and I don't know. I don't know why this was never printed in Plop, but it's a parody of Jonah Hex. See, and they don't have to change the name because they own Jonah Hex. But see, now the laws have changed. It used to be that you had, when you did a parody of something, you did a parody of Plastic Man in the old Mad comic, you called it Plastic Sam. If you did a parody of Flash Gordon, you called it Flesh Garden. But now you don't have to change the name I think the rules have changed through some lawsuit. As long as no reasonable person could think that that's legitimately a Plastic Man comic or an Archie comic, you can call it Archie. So that's why you got these dirty movies that come out and they just call it Superman, or Spider-Man. And but what they do have to change in those dirty movies is, like, Superman will have the shield and they'll have an X, because the thing that's trademarked are symbols now. So then when they made the dirty Spider-Man movie, they just put an X instead of the spider. They were making a lot of those about 10 years ago. dirty versions of superheroes, and a lot of times they looked more legitimate than the actual real product. The people making the dirty movies were actually making the superhero uniforms look as good or better than the Hollywood versions, which is weird. It's like when they made Flesh Gordon in the 70s. Yeah, they were making a raunchy, X-rated, depending on the edit. Sometimes it's released as an R-rated, sometimes X-rated cut. So they're making a dirty version of Flash Gordon, but the animators, the people working, doing the special effects and the production design, they had this reverence for Flash Gordon, so they treated it like they were really working on a Flash Gordon movie and did put the care into it like it was for real. So you got this movie with these incredible special effects and everything. It really looks nice, but it's not appropriate for the family. Here's when I ordered my FOOM kit, Friends of Old Marvel. This was the Marvel fan club in the 70s. This is the first issue I got, summer of 1974. So that would be the summer right after my 3rd grade year. So I joined FOOM. Here's Tigra on the back cover. And this was in an envelope with the Hulk's face on the front, and you got a membership card, and the poster that I framed in the other room all came with this. This shows the books that were on sale that month. Look at this guy's bedroom. He's painted this mural of the Green Goblin. Isn't that cool? I remember looking at that when I was a kid, thinking, damn. Oh, and look at this. This thing about the Vision and Scarlet Witch being in love. I forgot about this. This has some interest now that the average person in the world knows who the Vision and the Scarlet Witch are. Although I just was thinking this morning, I have weird thoughts while I'm in the shower. I was thinking, the average person that only knows all these characters through the movies and TV shows, they think that the Vision is actually Jarvis, the computer Jarvis that Tony Stark created, artificial intelligence that Tony Stark created. So if Tony Stark created the mind of the Vision, Jarvis, who became Vision, then isn't the Scarlet Witch really in love with Tony Stark, because that's his creation? But in the comic book, the Vision is actually the Golden Age Human Torch, which they showed briefly in a tube at an expo during World War II in Captain America: The First Avenger. But speaking of Human Torch, they had a Human Torch comic back then, showing the artwork for the model kit that was just being re-released. Here's some Marie Severin comic art, My Son the Superhero. I bet that she did this with the hopes of syndicating this to newspapers when Batman was on TV. That's my gut feeling. There's so this is just a cool magazine. Jim Steranko did the first few issues. I don't know if he may have left by number 6. I don't know. So I was supposed to. I think you got 4 issues with your FOOM membership, and then you had to renew. But they kept sending it to me, and then it even got forwarded to me at my new address after I moved. That's where I was living back then. Portrait Court, San Antonio, Texas. Oh, and it's Michael Plug, Ghost Rider back cover. The 1974 Comic Art Convention. There's somebody dressed up as Satana. Tony, Isabella, and Satana. Wow. Well, that's what Steve Gerber looked like. There's Jim Stranko. Lin Wen, or Lin Wine. I don't know how you pronounce it. I like that up. Yeah. Of course I like it. It's Marie Severin. I like everything she does. There's Marvel baseball team. It's just a fun magazine. Oh, readers would send in their artwork. I always thought that was weird. This real skinny Vision shooting beams through the Man Thing. Code of the Beast. Yeah. So that was FOOM. I have more. Don't worry. Here's the FOOM number 8. Let's see what we got here. I don't know who did this artwork, but it almost looks like a reader did it, but it's done like not Brandeck. Yeah, because they have Forbish Man there. More fan art. Stuff about Captain America, Nomad, Falcon. Well, they have these oddities like this Iron Man issue. In England, they redid the cover with Spider-Man, and they just show how the cover changed on this. Yeah. All right. So what else do we have here? Special Cosmic issue. The Hands of Shang-Chi, the Mistress of Kung Fu. That's the kind of thing they... Oh, it's an Iron Sis. That's the kind of thing they do today. They're always changing. There's the Mud Thing, another not Brand X style comic, so I loved it. So, you know, they're showing sketches of things coming up. And, you know, it's the 1974 Irving Awards. Thing about Warlock. Yeah, this is their science fiction issue. Captain Marvel. It's not really printed with color. It just, there's certain colors they use throughout it. These illustrations kind of look like something that would be in like a Dungeons and Dragons manual. Like this issue, they used blue, red, and red, I guess, and shades in between. I suspect this is valuable, FOOM 10, because it's about the new X-Men. So that is my suspicion. Look at this guy dressed as the Man Thing, man. They say, you must wear a mask to come in the supermarket. I'd just go in like that. I've got a mask on. Is that? But this thing's got a tear, and that happened in the mail coming to me because this was just shipped, you know, like that. You know, it wasn't put in a bag or anything. So anyway, so that probably takes away the value of this. There's more of that not brand Ech style parody art. X-Men, read all about them. Yeah, this is just talking about how they're starting the X-Men over. I'm not sure, but I think I had read somewhere that Wolverine first appeared in FOOM magazine as like some reader's suggestion for a character called Wolverine, but it wasn't exactly like the ultimate character. I don't know. Here's a Jack Kirby issue. But this is interesting in that it was redirected because we moved from San Antonio to Fort St. Louis. So when it got to me, and I wasn't supposed to be still getting this at this point, because you're only supposed to get 4 issues, but they just kept sending it to me. So it was redirected to me, and that was cool. And then this is shows the first issue of Howard the Duck was out. Oh, and this thing was so cool. Oh, there's Tigra. I always liked her. But this was some guy that they had a contest where you draw and submit your drawings, and then you could maybe get a job working for Marvel. And this guy submitted this art, and I guess they won the contest. His name is Russ Nicholson. I don't know if he ever worked for Marvel or not. This was how to collect Marvel comics, and that to me is fascinating because I was looking at these pictures when I was a kid, and this guy's got these big stacks of comics and he's covered in them, and I mean, I just was that's so exciting to see this guy with these stacks of comics behind him. Now let's see. So they got mail, they got, you know, posters you can order. They got the 1974 Irving Forbish. They're supposed to be the janitor at Marvel, and then they turn him into a superhero Forbish man for not brand Ech. Here's the big centerfold. And here's the origin of King Kirby. I wonder how Jack Kirby felt coming back to Marvel. Did he feel defeated, or was he glad, or did he just not give a shit? Because, I don't know. So they have, I guess, an interview with Kirby, or no, it's not an interview, just talking about him. The once and future king. Yeah, here's an interview with him. Looks a little bit like my father right before he passed away. You can tell he's very frail there. Here's FOOM 12. Oh, look at this, cool. And again, oh, and here it came and it says postage due. I guess my mom or somebody must have paid the postage of those dues. I don't know. Or maybe they ignored it because it was being delivered to the home of a full colonel. And they probably said, oh, I'm not going to, I'll just write it off. That was right before my father retired from the Army. We were living up there at Fort St. Louis. Look at that. She doesn't exactly look like that on the TV show, does she? No, the actress playing her is great. You know that she's the sister of the Olsen twins? I don't think everybody realizes that. I didn't realize it till I was told. But she got a little bit better genetics than those things. Okay. All right. And that's where my subscription ended, but Lone Star Comics actually carried it in the store. You didn't have to, and so I got this issue when they opened in the summer of '77. It's got Kiss on the back of it. So there's no subscription label because I actually bought this on the newsstand, which was a cool thing, you know. And they're talking about how they're bringing in the Human Fly and Kiss and all this Godzilla and all that stuff. They have all these Golden Age Captain America covers, so that was the source of lots of microscopic viewing. And this was from New York Magazine in '72, where Spider-Man's observing who's running for president from the air. Oh, and here's that book that Silver Age Dave has gotten several copies of lately. But there's also a copy of Writer's Digest. That's the next thing. If he hasn't already sought it out, he'll have to seek that out. Yeah, Stan Lee interview. How exciting. Okay, I'm not being sarcastic. I don't know why I do that. Here's FOOM 18. Rampaging Hulk was the new magazine that they had about that time. Next issue is going to be about the Defenders. A lot of times I'll open magazines backwards. I must have been Japanese in a past life. I've done that ever since I was a kid. I always started at the back. And this is when Hanna-Barbera was being absorbed into Marvel. Yeah. Talking about the new calendar. I always love this illustration. So they got this issue has a John Romita interview. And then there's Red Sonja. There's Frank Thorne, who just passed away, and this here is the artist of that Elfquest comic I was showing you earlier. FOOM 18. Okay, and this is something that, if you're a Star Wars completist, I guess you have to seek this issue of FOOM 21 out. That gatefold of the cantina scene. Be with the FOOM force. So, anyway, just... And I remember it was a big deal. They were doing this Seeker 3000 comic and Star-Lord, and none of them wound up being anything. Well, I guess ultimately Star-Lord did wind up being something, but not for many decades, and Guardians of the Galaxy. But I bought all that stuff. Did Logan's Run. I bought every issue of that. I love that movie. And then, you know, there's Kill Raven, and of course Star Wars. This is the last issue of FOOM that I have. I should fill in the holes in my collection, but or maybe I should fill in the holes in my head first. Damn. Okay, then I got all this other kind of comic book marketplace. Basil Wolverton. So, I mean, I don't think this stuff has any value. I loved Enemy Ace. I picked up that issue. a lot of times I would go to comic stores, and what I'd wind up getting are these magazines about comic book history, and I wouldn't pick up any new comics because I wasn't interested in them. But I would very often still go to comic stores and buy these magazines about old comics, and if it was a comic store that had old comics, I'd go through the old comics and buy them. But Lone Star Comics stopped carrying old comics at some point in the 90s and went and put them all in a big warehouse and started doing their mail order stuff. And I prefer comic stores that have old comics. I don't give a hoot in hell for a comic store that has no collector's comics in it. It's just the new stuff. I don't care about that. I really don't. Lone Star Comics was sold to a company that calls themselves Wild West Comics. They still have a brick and mortar store. I went to it once. No, in its new location, but I went to the old... I would go to the old location and buy magazines like this, but they didn't have any old comics. I didn't care about it. Oh, here's some actual old... Shit, here's some actual old stuff. The Wallace Wood Treasury. And it's got this, without the logo, this cover for Spaceman, the Warren magazine. Isn't that great? And it's all, this great Wally Wood art. Just tremendous stuff. Prince Valiant. This is a really great story in my world. I get a text from my wife at the top. I'll probably be ready to serve dinner in 5 to 10 minutes. Okay, I need to wrap up this episode of the Gratu Orloff program in order to eat some wonderful food. Here's Near Mint. Isn't that a great illustration? This issue featuring Star Pirate and Frankenstein. A fanzine for students, fans, pros, comic books, old movies, art. Number 1, $3. This is from 1980. So it has really cool... Damn, this artwork is great. This stuff... Alex Toth. Or Alex Toth. Alex Toth. I don't know how to pronounce it. I always called him Alex Toth, but that's in my mind. This is just a cool magazine. Where were you? December 7th, 1941. Frankenstein comic strips, the Dick Briefer stuff. Actually, what? These are actually for sale for $85 each at this point. That makes you sick, doesn't it? Shit. Of course, 1980, $85 was some substantial money. I remember how long it took me to raise that $500 to buy that VCR. This has got all kinds of cool Katie Keene art. This is a Golden Age of Comics. This is 1982. Oh yeah, this is Don and Maggie Thompson that, did Comic Buyer's Guide, right? Yeah, so they were all into this and produced a great magazine. There's more in this box that I will show you in the next exciting installment. Like Jack Kirby Treasury, Volume 1. What else? Got a bunch. Oh, Rocket Blast Comic Collector. This is a cool magazine. I'll show you some of those next time. More Magic of Frank Frazetta. Spirit. Comic Scene. I remember that. That was the same people that did Starlog and Fangoria. Blobble. Alright, well, this is a magazine-centric episode of the Gretsch Warlock program. Next time I'll show you some more magazines, but we'll get into the S's, comic book-wise, Bronze Age S's. So, let's see what we can do here. We must help the environment by turning off electricity. First of all, and this lamp is on behind me. Oh, there's still daylight outside. I guess it's still daytime. Okay. What else? I'm going to turn off this horrific ring light that's probably harming my vision. But all the YouTubers use it, so it must be wonderful. This fucking thing. Turn it off. Off. Alright. And so, we'll come back probably tomorrow morning for another exciting adventure of the Gretsch Warlock Show. So, bye. Thanks for watching my content.